Hello, YouTube. Welcome to Papa's place. This is Papa. um, it's been a while since I've done a video. I've been playing around and messing with 300 Blackout, and I can tell you I have learned a lot. A very good friend of mine um, a very good friend gifted me a 300 Blackout up there that he had sitting in his safe that he hadn't used, and he said that he didn't have any real plans to use it, so he gifted it to me a while back. And I've been working like a mad fiend in converting 223 brass over to 300 Blackout, and scrounging up powder and some 30 caliber bullets so I could go out and shoot it. I had a lower that I basically had complete except for the buttstock sitting here, and I turned it into a pistol, and the upper he gave me happened to be a 10.5-inch pistol upper, which is exactly what I wanted. To try and condense this down, so I loaded up some test rounds. I dug up some bullets, dug up some powders that work with 300 Blackout, and loaded up some test loads with two different powders. I was using little gun and IMR 4227. I was trying to shoot supersonics, because with the Blackout you can shoot subsonics or supersonics. I really don't have a big interest in subsonics because I don't have a suppressor, so I see no use in having subsonic rounds. Anyway, this is the barrel that came with that upper. So 1-in-8 twist, which is one of the more common twist rates for 300 Blackout. The other one is 1-in-7. 1-in-7 is used more for stabilizing the bigger, 220, 245 grain subsonic rounds. Man, I was excited. I went out 2 weeks ago to the local range with my test rounds and sat down and set a target out, squeezed off the first round, and I said, wow, this is great, and pulled the trigger and nothing. What had happened was that the AR had short stroked. The bolt carrier didn't go far enough back to not only eject the round that I had fired, but it didn't go far enough back to pick up the next round out of the magazine. So I manually put the next round in the magazine and tried it again. Same thing. So I said, okay, well, this was my low-end load, and actually it wasn't low, it was actually kind of in the middle. So I bumped it up to the next one, which is a little bit closer to max. And I tried that one and fired it, and same thing. The bolt carrier wouldn't come far enough back to pick up the next round. So I went up to my next load, which was at the max recommended. Actually, it was a little bit over max. And I tried it and got the same results. And what I'm using is a standard carbine buffer and a standard carbine buffer spring. So I went through, and neither powder would fully cycle the bolt. This barrel has a carbine length gas tube. In other words, I don't know if you guys can see it from here, but my finger is pointing at the gas tube hole, gas port. And the distance from here back to here is considered the carbine length, which is kind of standard for 16, 14 and a half inch AR-15, 5.56 223 rounds. And it's got a pretty good size hole in it. And I came home. I don't have any fancy test stuff. I do have one of these 2 gazillion drill bit setups, and took the number of drill bits, and I kept trying to see how big the hole was, and I measured it out. It's just a tad over 0.118. It's kind of big, because your standard carbine hole for a 223 is only, 0.7, 0.6. So this is almost double that. But it wasn't enough gas. Getting out of this from here to the end of the barrel, it's a very short distance. It's like 2 inches. And that 2 inches is basically what is referred to as your dwell time. So I did lots of reading and checking and trying to find out who made this barrel, and I still don't know who made the barrel. But in doing my reading and learning, I discovered that with 300 Blackout on barrels less than 16 inches in length, that the carbine gas won't work. It won't work even with supersonic rounds. Because you can't get the gas hole big enough to let enough gas out to cycle the bolt. And what you have to run is a pistol length. Well, that very same friend of mine decided to send me a Christmas present. It just came in the mail yesterday. One of these days I'm going to get you, bud. I promise. When you least expect it, I'm going to get you. But thank you very much. Brand new barrel. This one happens to be a Wilson Combat. This is an 11.3 inch barrel, a little bit longer than the 10.5. But it's close enough for government work, believe me. But this one has a pistol length gas. And I'll line up the holes here for you so that you can see what the difference is. On the pistol length, this is where the gas port is. Can you see that? Here's the carbine length up here. So there's, again, another 2 inches plus a difference. This has a longer dwell time. As you fire the cartridge, the gas comes out sooner at a higher pressure. It has a shorter distance to go, therefore giving you more than enough gas and pressure to operate your bolt carrier. Where this one is so short and it's longer to the bolt carrier group, it just doesn't have the oomph. On a gas block, the typical size of the, here's a gas block, a low profile, of the hole inside where the gas goes from this hole into here down your gas tube is 0.145. So the max you can open up a barrel port is 0.145. Anything bigger, it's just a waste because it's not going to go through here any faster. And I heard research of different people boring these whole barrels out to the 0.14, 145 to try and get these barrels to work. It won't work. Essentially, this is a single shot barrel out of your AR-15. It's accurate. I was getting some nice groups out at 50 yards, but it's one at a time, and that's not exactly what I wanted. This one, with the gas port down here, I've got a lot more dwell time and a lot shorter distance for that pressure to activate and run the bolt carrier group. So I have 99.999% confidence that this barrel is going to work and work very well. It's a stainless steel 1/8 twist, and it's got a bead blasted finish, and man, it's just it's just a beautiful barrel. Being the gut nut that I am, but I wanted, because of this, I wanted to share some things with people that might be considering going down the road for 300 Blackout, because there are what I would consider unscrupulous companies out there putting out products for 300 Blackout that aren't going to work, like the company that made this barrel, because they knew it wasn't going to work. They didn't even want to put their name on it. They put everything else on there, made in the USA, but it don't work. And then you've got reputable companies like Wilson Combat and Advanced Armament AAC, CMMG, DPMS, Daniel Defense, even Palmetto State Armory is putting out their own branded barrels in 300 Blackout. And there's lots of other companies out there that have learned the lesson in making good stuff. But generally speaking, 16-inch barrel, a carbine gas system will work for 300 Blackout, and work pretty well. In barrels less than 16 inches, especially in the neighborhood of the shortest barrels that I see readily available are 8-inch barrels to 10.5-inch to 11 and 12-inch barrels. You'd really need to be running a pistol length gas system. If somebody tries to sell you a short barrel to make a pistol with, or if you're going to go through the process of getting your SBR tax stamp and all that other stuff, make sure that you get one that is pistol length gas. A carbine length gas will not function in a barrel less than 16 inches. Okay? That's kind of written on stone. The other important part is the gas port size. In 300 Blackout, it's really tough to have an overgassed system like you can in a 223. In an overgassed system, you've got so much gas coming back that you're really working parts too hard with standard stuff. The 300 Blackout is different from the 223 in that in the powders used, they're different. The 223 the specifications and design was done so that it used faster burning powders than the typical rifle cartridge, faster than the 223. What you end up using is basically a powder that is designed for Magnum pistol and shotgun powder, specifically for the 44 Magnum and 500 Smith and Wesson and 41 Magnum. The bigger Magnum pistol powders that work in those calibers is what works in 300 Blackout, and that's why you can shoot an 8-inch barrel and the powder is burnt all the way, and so it's a very efficient cartridge in short barrels. You're not gaining that much between, say, a 10.5-inch barrel and a 16-inch barrel. The difference in velocity is only a couple hundred feet per second. With this 11.3-inch barrel, 125 grain bullets, I should be able to get somewhere right at like 2,000 feet per second type speeds out of it, which is more than sufficient for medium-sized game and out to a couple hundred yards, several hundred yards. because it still carries more energy down. And let me rephrase this: a short barrel 300 Blackout carries more energy downrange than a 5.56 does out of a 20. What did they say, 24-inch barrel or a 20-inch barrel? 24-inch, I believe. Um, and it's got similar energy downrange like the 7.62 by 39 and the 30-30 or the rounds that are thrown out and bandied about. Um, but it's better because it's got a better coefficient of drag on the 300 Blackout bullets. And they're designed, if you see a bullet that's got an extremely long taper point on it, it's more than likely some of the newer bullets designed for 300 Blackout. And they're designed to fit the magazine, standard magazines better, and have a better coefficient of drag and not lose its energy as fast as, say, your old typical 30 cal bullets that you used to shoot out of your 308 and 30-06 or whatever. You can shoot those out of the 300 Blackout, but they're not going to perform as well as they did out of your 308 and your 30-06 or 300 Winchester Magnum or anything like that, because those are at much higher velocities, and the 300 Blackout is not capable of doing that. Therefore, it's a shorter range round. Also, typically, to get the maximum performance, you're going to be shooting a lot lighter weight 30 caliber bullets than you do in your 308s and 30-06s, etc. And those, your 150 is a light bullet, 165, 175, 180, 200 grain, and you're still pushing well out, over 2,500 feet per second plus. With the 300 Blackout, you're shooting 110 and 125 grain bullets out, in the 2,000 feet per second range. So the bullets have to be designed to operate and expand and do what they need to do at slower speeds. And the bullet manufacturers are starting to catch up on this because the round works so well in the AR platform. There's bolt-action rifles too. Most people say the real advantage for 300 Blackout is running suppressed and running quiet, which it does very well. I just don't have the money to get a suppressor nor the tax stamp, nor do I want to have to worry about writing Uncle Sam to make sure that I can cross state lines with my tax stamped item, whether it be a suppressor or a short barrel rifle, which is why I'm making a pistol, because I don't have to tell Uncle Sam anything. So, it's a little bit different than anything else. You have to get a different mindset. You need to get off the track of trying to shoot, the 150s and the 175 grain bullets out of the 300 Blackout. You can do the 150s and the 155s reasonably well, but you're making compromises in doing it. You're much better off getting 140, 135, 125 grain bullets and doing it the right way. It's going to fit in the magazine better, less problems in the long run. When you start going to these typical old school 308 cartridges, you're going to run into problems when reloading where they're not going to work real well in the standard AR magazine. And that was one of the advantages that was publicized about the 300 Blackout, was it would work in standard magazines. It works with the standard bolt. The only thing you needed to change was the barrel. Well, if you're using factory loads that are designed per the original specs and specified in AAC's work, then yes, any standard magazine will work. But when you start using other bullets because of shortages and this, that, and the other, excuse me, got the hiccups, you run into problems. Maybe I'll do another video on that. But that's just some of the stuff I've learned. I've learned so much more. It's mind-boggling. So if you have any comments or questions, post them down below. I'm cutting this off short because I don't want to make a 25 minute video because nobody ever watches them anyway. So, but if you have any questions on 300 Blackout, send me a PM, comment down below, thumbs up the video if you like it. I'm really looking forward to getting this thing set up and running. It's going to be my hunting round in a new place when we get to Mississippi. So a little bit different than hunting out here in Arizona, I can tell you that for darn sure. So hey, thank you again. God bless you. And remember, keep smiling. It makes people wonder what you've been up to. Take care, you too. Bye.